China's Belt and Road Initiative was announced in 2013, but it seems this project has one purpose only: the subjugation of these economically fragile nations on the way to becoming a great power by the time the Chinese Communist Party celebrates 100 years. There are numerous examples of countries, developed and developing, which are economically fragile that have become even more fragile courtesy of the BRI. The recent situation in Pakistan and Sri Lanka is a case in point. The Center for Global Development, in a 2018 study of countries hosting BRI projects, found 23 of them in a state of economic distress. Sri Lanka has taken loans from China at lending rate in the range of 3 to 6% against the 3 to 1% offered by the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. As a result, Sri Lanka has had to request China for a debt-to-equity swap, selling their own equity to Chinese companies as they have not been able to pay back their loans. China's investment of an estimated $1.4 billion in Sri Lanka's Colombo Port City project is the largest single foreign investment in the island nation's history. Dubbed in a private-public partnership between the Government of Sri Lanka and the CHEC Port City Colombo Private Limited. The project had been much publicized for the employment opportunities and huge revenues that it would generate for the Sri Lankans. What is seldom spoken about is the fact that of the 269 hectares of the reclaimed land, 43% will be controlled by the CPCC through a 99 years lease agreement. This is reminiscent of the not too long ago takeover the Hambantota port on a 99-year lease by China Merchant Port Holdings. The port is now operated jointly by the Sri Lanka Ports Authority and CMPH, with the latter holding an 80% stake in the port and exercising near total control over its operations. Sri Lanka is just one example of how China uses its economic power to capture unsuspecting and sometimes complicit governments in an intricate web of debt and dependencies. Such initiatives provide easier and more convenient opportunities to address the vulnerabilities of China at the cost of investment of individual nations. The mechanism provides expedient access for Chinese state-owned companies to saturate the economies of small nations and settle the borrowing nation with loans that can be leveraged when needed. In addition, China, with its financial freedom, has emerged as an independent nation, providing financial alternatives over international organizations like the IMF and the Asian Development Bank to secure individual and selfish designs. Further, these Chinese infrastructure projects of road, rail, buildings, ports, etc., with inflated costs, are advertised as comprehensive solutions without disclosing the methodology and terms of execution. The projects in Sri Lanka, like the $104 million Lotus Tower, which never got commissioned, or the $209 million Matala Airport, which is the world's emptiest airport, though presumed to be funded by China, had all their costs recovered through execution by Chinese entities, using equipments, machinery, material from China, including a significant proportion of labor top management. While Sri Lanka paid for the projects, it filled the Chinese treasury with a requirement that was not essential. Further, due to the confidentiality of project being pursued by the government, the actual cost of the projects are also largely exaggerated. The Chinese approach in Sri Lanka has been outright capitalist, wherein the Sri Lankan economy is flooded with cheap Chinese goods, so as to kill the local economy and extract as much strategic advantage by trapping the government of the day in frivolous infrastructure projects. It needs to be understood that all Chinese debts come with hidden agendas, particularly with the aim to indebt the country, take control of land, fill the coffers of China, at the expenses of smaller countries under the grab of development. The modus operandi of engagement has been similar in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, wherein countries have been indebted with a Chinese loan of billions of dollars. The Belt Road Initiative of China has become limited to enticing developing nations into futile and ineffective projects, which are extravagant compared to more realistic challenges being faced. The projects are promoted as one of its kind infrastructure development projects. With fictitious prospects, in reality, they are just of significance and benefit to China.